Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm excited to be here for another episode of Poe on the Call. I am Cris Rivers.
And I'm Mandy Mac.
Yes, and we are here today with Poe coach Molly slash burlesque performer and producer Ladybird Vixen.
Oh,
I love it. Too funny.
thank you so much, Molly, for being here with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Yay! And it's so funny. I was just saying, we get to finally learn more about you because, like, you've been a pole coach for us for like what, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, two. Yeah. Maybe.
I'm flying by.
Yeah.
Right,
What is time?
right. So finally, Molly, who are you?
Oh my God, is that the first question? Who are
No.
you? Ah!
Right, Molly. No, honestly, you were like super amazing, super inspirational pole coach. I'm so happy that you came to us. And tonight I'm super excited to learn more about your pole journey and also your burlesque journey because you've definitely brought burlesque into a special happy place on the East Coast since you've been here. But we should start at the very beginning with what brought you to pole dancing?
I actually really love this story because I was inspired by like YouTube videos, watching them late at night in high school. And I don't remember what the first video I saw, but it was more of a like contemporary lyrical, like really well done full YouTube video. And I was obsessed. And so what I did was I bought a pole on Amazon and got it delivered to my house, gaslighted my parents that they said it was okay. And my dad set it up for me in the basement because he was like, well, we're going to use a level and install it correctly at least. Be safe. And so I learned just from like watching YouTube videos and did like home pole, but I never inverted until I started taking classes at a studio. I was really had a high risk profile as a home poler, which is what I always recommend, not to immediately get into that nonsense, but started taking classes in Colorado. 2012.
Wow. Almost 13 years ago. Goodness. I love it. Thank you, Molly's dad, for setting up her first poll because now she's still here. Oh, I love that. That is awesome. That is a funny story. Did you did you have any like dance background that you used to help you with pole dance or anything like that?
I did the usual, like I did a dance thing in elementary school, middle school, center stage stars, where I was in like lyrical and hip hop and jazz and all the awful costumes. And it was like a 9 hour long recital on a Saturday where there were just like, I swear, hundreds of kids that performed. And I just like apologize to my parents every time I see them for going through that. But I definitely didn't like um intensely train anything. And so, but I had a yoga background, which I think helped a lot um as far as body awareness went.
Sorry, go ahead, Manny. And oh my goodness, 9 hours on a Saturday. I was just thinking about that. I can't even imagine.
Right, I was just remembering like that. That sucks. Like, why did we do that?
Not good either. Like it just
No. No, and there's not even like breaks or anything. No food.
this is where I learned to like change my clothes over and under my clothes. Like be a to-go dressing room was at these recitals, and I like get complimented on that skill.
How stealth you were.
Exactly.
Like,
Because
I'm
there's like
ready.
15 teen girls in one room. So I'm in a different phase in life now though, where I'm like, yeah, whatever. Backstage at a burlesque show. It's definitely different.
Like maybe that was the training for
Exactly.
OMG. Did you find how did you find the transition from being a home polar to finally training in a studio?
I loved it. Like the first couple classes I took in Colorado were just like privates. And so when I first went, it was very like task oriented almost, if that makes sense. Like I was like, I want to learn all the moves. I want to do the thing. I want to do the things right. I want to do them in order. And then it wasn't until I got to Fort Collins where I was like, wait, I can have friends too and a community, and this can like be like a fun workout and a challenge and a distraction and a nice time and good people and good vibes. And then it was done. Like it was like, cool, this is my life. I understand. Never anywhere else again.
Oh my gosh. I love that you say that though. Like it is kind of like that. Like if you were like a perfectionist, you could come into this and just be like, I'm doing all the things. But then you're like, oh wait, I also feel really warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. I definitely have to give props to Vertical Fusion in Fort Collins, which was my first like home, not pole at home, but home pole studio that I felt where it was just like I got proposed to there. It was that important. So that is definitely one of my first pole fam.
I love that. Oh, memories. And it just goes by so fast. When did you start making, I'm sorry, Manny, I'm just like running the show here. When did you start making the transition from post student, forgive me, to pole instructor?
I think 3 years ago, I started teaching almost a year before I moved to New England. So I definitely had a short-lived instructor phase in Colorado, but I trained there. They had like an internal teacher training. And so I taught intro, beginner, like a heels class, and then a booty and chair class. And still went to as many classes as I possibly could. So I definitely was a student, a teacher. How would you?
A student.
I mean, as teachers, we should always be learning. I love that. Student.
Right.
Yeah, I think I've definitely missed, like I've fallen away as a student since coming to New England for sure. So I definitely have a harder time identifying as a pole dancer these days versus a pole coach. And like, but that's what everyone goes through. Like, I feel like that's a common story, and there's like ebbs and flows. And um, I think it is just because burlesque takes up such a big part of my practice performer identity that it doesn't necessarily feel like a loss right now. Like it can, but then I take my clothes off and I'm like, it's fine.
Yes, taking our clothes off makes everything better.
Exactly.
Do you mind going a little bit into your burlesque history?
Sure. Yeah. So I stumbled into it on accident because the studio that I started, or that I was at in Colorado for a while, shared a space with one of the burlesque troops and belly dance instructors in town. And I just kind of like on a whim submitted a chair act for a burlesque show. And it was like on my birthday weekend, and it was just like a whole thing. I was in a aerial dance troupe called Sirens of the North. They don't exist anymore, but it was that first pole fam again. We were like getting hired for events and doing after dark stuff as well, which was awesome. And so it was like, well, oh, and I was an exotic dancer at some point too in college. And so I like I was like, I pole dance, I've stripped. Why can't I not pole dance and strip? And so I was like, it's probably going to be fine. And so I did, like, I guest performed in one of the cupcake cabaret shows, which they're still there. And then they invited me back a couple times. And so I was a guest performer for them a couple times. But that was my Colorado burlesque life. And then I moved here and I wanted to keep doing it. And I was having a harder time finding opportunities. And so I just kind of made the plunge and was like, I'll make them. I'll figure it out as I go.
It's so funny too, because like all like the students when they come in, they're interested in burlesque. I was like, you better talk to Molly because she's already hijacked a bunch of students to do burlesque all over the place. So hop on that trail. But like seriously, like all of the did you ever produce any shows in Colorado or was just performing?
Performing.
So how was what was the transition like from like just performing to like finally creating a whole show?
Well, so it was actually when you and I were discussing pole in the wall showcase opportunities, and we had like for a minute talked about potentially going to other venues. And then in those like details and logistics that we worked out, I had been inquiring with someone, and then pole in the wall went another direction. And so I already had the contact, and I was like, okay, so never mind to a pole show, but like, would you do a burlesque show? And they were like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so so then Pints and Pasties was born, and I did my first burlesque show at a brewery, and it was a New City Brewery in East Hampton, Massachusetts. And it went so well, and we did another one and another one, and then I found New England Cider Company in Connecticut, and that's all she wrote, I guess.
And now we're here almost 2-3 years later.
I think
Yes.
the best thing about like the shows that you produce too is like you'll put out workshops where people can come to the workshops, and then you have like performance opportunities. So like you can come to the workshop and just learn the moves, or you can perform them, which is really empowering. And I think you've really inspired a lot of dancers around here to do the things. So hell yeah.
Well, and that's another thing that like happened on accident. My like just how my brain operates. I'm just like constantly doing routines, and apparently I got bored with solo routines for a second. So I was like, what if I did a group one instead? And then it was like, well, I produce shows so they could perform in the show if they wanted. And then I thought about just how oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not gatekeepy. I mean, it kind of is, but gatekeepy. And then also just such a huge investment up front, time, money, everything to like do burlesque. And I really wanted to make that like opportunity for someone to dip their toe in and it be a low risk. Like, oh, if I hate it and I realize this isn't for me, then no harm, no foul. I just did one routine that Ladybird helped me completely do. And then that's it. And like, it was fine. And that's not usually what happens, but I'm like, gotcha.
One of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, that's so true though, because I was part of a burlesque troupe before, and we would like, you know, we'd try to practice. We would come up with all these group routines, and everyone wants to see their group routines, but they just take so much time. So the way that you're offering it is like really like attainable for everyone. Like you can live out your burlesque dreams. And then all of the theme, can we talk about some of the amazing themes that you've come up with? Some that have destroyed the studio. Just kidding.
The cake? Is that what you want to do? Yes. I am just a slut for a theme. Like I've always been this way. There's at the like showcases in my pole life, there was always a theme. It was always really loose, but I was like, always like a diehard follower where I was like, all right, if you got a theme, I'm gonna fit the theme. And I would get so like, I would get secretly so pissed off when other routines weren't in the theme because it was like loose enough where it's like, no, you're fine, you can still perform. And I'm like, no, it's not in the theme. It's just a lot. But so Halloween was a first. Oh no, that's a lie. Nerdlesque came before Halloween. Love me a good nerdy show. And then I prefer nerdy routines that are actually personal to the performer. So I always call out Carmen Celeste, who did a marching band act to Holla Back Girl, but she marched into her actual like university cadence. And I was like, yep, absolutely, you're booked. Like, get out here right now. And then I do a bird courtship act for Nerdlesque, where I morph into different bird species and try to court my wife while taking my clothes off. It's
I love it too.
Oh, but we did country last year, and then what Mandy was referring to was a cake smash for my birthday, also birds. But we did also smash some cakes with our butts.
Can we talk about this too, though? Like, because you and your partner literally baked cake.
Well, no, I didn't. You can't put me in there. It's all her.
But there was a cake for each booty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you rolled up with like 12 cakes.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was memorable.
Well, and people are like, it just, I think what ended up happening with the workshops was it was just like, these are things that I want to do and I'm going to do anyways. And that if the roles were reversed and I had this opportunity to like do this thing that either I have thought of, but just like didn't feel attainable, or have thought of and just haven't gotten around to it, or didn't have the resources, or like, or just didn't even consider. I like to cite googly eyes for this one, where it is just like, so what if we put googly eyes on every single part of our body part we can think of? Yeah. Like, would you be into that? I'll be into that. I don't think it's ever going to go away that I like design a workshop and I put the workshop on and I like freak out because I'm like, man, I bet everyone's going to think this is so stupid. Like, man, I think this is I'm the only person who thinks this is going to be something that's worth their time. And then it's sold out in a day. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. It's my people. They want to let their freak flag fly with me. Here we go.
Hell yeah. Right? Like even for just our regular classes too, the pillow talk one, like that was so cool. Everyone brought in their pillows. You had like a fun theme. The balloon pop, I know that was another burlesque one. And oh my gosh, I really felt for you, like thought about you all day for that one because I knew you were like blowing up millions of balloons just to be popped.
I had a machine. It's okay. I had a machine. I had multiple people sign up for that workshop that were like scared of balloons and balloon popping and like used it to like flood and train themselves to like have a more positive. And I was like, this is crazy. I am so nervous right now. What are you doing? Like, please be okay for this class. And they did great. I was like, cool, thanks for it was actually something that I didn't hear until like towards the end of the workshop where they were just like, yeah, like I freaking hate balloons and I hate this and and this has been so I was like, good. And then I did do another one and they were like, yeah, I'm gonna sit this one out. I was like, okay. Thanks for making that decision.
I was gonna say that I was like, they were cured, but they weren't cured.
No.
Kudos to them for trying though. And I mean, it's just an example of how dance helps us kind of just process things and different things like that.
Yeah, like I'm sure it still very much felt like an achievement and something to get through. And then probably just a like, cool, I did it. It's not necessarily something I need to like long-term overcome to have balloons on my body. And I think it's a reasonable one-time deal for life.
Too funny. I love it.
Actually never thought what that would feel like, but now that
It's
I'm
not,
thinking about it, I don't think I would like that.
yeah, yeah, like it's not a good time. The way that I ended up working it out, because when I did my first balloon pop routine for Valentine's Day, I was just wearing like a bra and underwear underneath. And I think I have the video posted on Instagram on Ladybird somewhere, but I'm like popping it with a Cupid arrow, and it's like behind the scenes, and it literally is just me going like, because the photographer had a like behind the scenes video up. And so what I did for the workshops was had a corset that they were all attached to. So you at least weren't dealing with like right against the skin. But damn. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I would just scream every single time.
Yeah. Yes.
That's too funny. Oh my gosh.
That is. How have you been able to connect or combine your burlesque with pole?
Yeah, so I actually started teaching a Polesque workshop, and that came from, when did I first do that routine? I don't know, but it was a group routine that I choreographed a while back. Oh, okay, no, yeah, January of last year. Yeah, January last year. I taught it and loved it. Like I loved this routine, and I was like, this has to happen again. And so it was one of the things that I also had a weird feeling about like teaching things twice for a long time. I maybe it's just because I'm just like squirrel. I need to move on to something different. But it took me a while to realize that it's like okay to do that. Wild. And so this was one of the first things that I've taught quite a few times, and then is also one of the first workshops that I've traveled with. So I brought it to my old studio in Colorado, and then also taught it in Cape Cod, and then hopefully I'm going to teach it at another studio later this year. But we'll see. So that way, and that's, yeah, that kind of birthed my guest instructor journey.
Yes, I love that. Oh my goodness. Workshops everywhere. And I was gonna say, you had mentioned something. Oh, and of course I lost it.
How it goes.
I goodness. I feel like you should restart the Polesque competition. Let me stop. There's not enough hours in the day.
Is that in your coming soon?
Oh my God, absolutely not. Oh man, people will ask me like
The twinkle in your eye, though.
my wife would kill me.
I love it. Too funny. That's exciting. Like workshops are fun. Goodness. I'm sorry.
I have a question. What is your favorite style of pole?
Oh, so I've always loved more like strength dynamic style. That's what I was kind of like raised on, because it was, like I said, that task oriented, like strength, And then I also had a weird time in which I was an exotic dancer, but then also like wanted to keep my pole training separate from that, which is a whole other can of worms, right? Like that was not, nope. And I think it was just at the time, like not wanting my parents to know that that was happening. So wanting to be as kind of strength oriented on the pole as possible. But I think that is just also going to be like a lie that I contradict in my statement, because my first routine that I ever did was Fireball by Pitbull, and I shook my ass so much. Like I did some strong moves, but then I just like shook my ass a lot. Like, so I've always been the more like performative, like let's dance around and be fun. I think what I said in the form that I didn't fill out, so never mind, was it's like silly and theatrical. Like I love to come up with the most ridiculous things, or heavily commit to a theme. Such as at the March 1st Pole in the Wall workshop, or Pole in the Wall showcase, we're about to do a cruiser performance. And the cruisers that I made are pleasers with Crocs on top, with Croc giblets. Is that what they are? Jibs? What are they called? Ugh, well, the things. And then it's the pleaser with the little cutout in it, and there's a little Croc in it.
They came out too damn cute.
Like it's just out of
Don't they speak when you dance?
if you don't attach them, yeah, sure. Which I don't recommend because I don't think that would be very safe. But the tutorial online hot glues them.
Okay, so maybe the ones I saw weren't completely finished then.
Yes. Yep. Correct.
I was gonna say, if they were talking, that is not gonna make bangs or clacks fun.
Wait, so how did you come up with this idea? Did you see it somewhere, or was it like,
Yeah. So
like,
well, it
I'm
was like
gonna-
there's been a popular TikTok floating around with these like lavender cruisers, but it's just a tutorial on like sort of how to make them. And it's just like a sped up, like 45-second long thing. And I was just kind of like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Like it really is. Like that is what I mean, is that I'm like, you know what? I want to make some cruisers. Maybe someone else wants to make some cruisers. I'll do a workshop. Maybe we can do a group routine to it. It just like,
yeah,
and like a lot of the times it falls together, which is somewhat problematic for my schedule. But sometimes it doesn't happen, right? Like there are, for every 3 complete ideas, there are 27 tabs still open on my internet.
on the wall behind you.
I was gonna say, what kind of laptop are you using? 27.
in the book situation.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. And it worked out. Like those fucking creasers came out too cute.
Well, and it was just like I knew some of the people that would come to it, and then it was so exciting to have like a new student that I hadn't ever interacted with before, and just like having it's just crazy when there's new people, and I'm just selfish and love the immediate gratification of seeing the impact it has.
Right, because imagine like being a brand new person, just being like, I'm gonna sign up for this weird workshop where I'm gonna put my Crocs and pleasers together, and I don't know this teacher.
And I'm like,
And
oh
then
yeah,
you're like, one of us.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, great, welcome.
Join the cult. Stop.
Right, we try not to be a cult.
Oh my. So you just asked what's your favorite style? She likes the strength. And do you have a favorite pole trick?
It varies, but usually my go-to when people ask me this question is Cupid.
That is a fun move.
What's that face, Mandy?
I've never heard that one as a go-to. It's usually like, Cupid.
Love it. I don't know why, but we're friends. And it's February. It's Valentine's Day. It felt right.
It is very cute. Which kind of Cupid? Because there's so many. Original Cupid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
What are your other kind? Oh God.
The one that no one else likes. The original.
Right, the
Right.
one that's
All moves are titled different things depending on where
up, the one that's up the pole, or because I can do the floor one. Who's on the floor? I'm down with that one.
Back in my stripping days, the Cupid was my shit because we got to wear sneakers. So like I was adhesive and I was able to tuck my hips. Oh, it was but nowadays, like my feet are too damn clammy.
I didn't even think about that because I did do a Chinese pole series at Air Temple in New Haven. And yeah, Cupid was my jam. And like Remy and like, yeah, in jeans though, because you're on the Chinese pole was crazy.
I would probably enjoy that because I would stick.
Yes. I struggled with it a lot as a chrome puller trying. It doesn't like it translates until it doesn't. And so there was a lot of problematic times where like rewiring was hard.
Like that time that you and I tried the flying pole. Speaking of, didn't you just try something else?
Yes.
Speaking about this, I know this is popping up a lot recently. I feel like more recently everyone's doing the, what is it actually called? The
Hair hanging is all I've heard it called.
I don't even know. I can't picture it.
right?
You can
Tell us
picture it?
more.
Okay,
Are you, is it like a trick or did you say flying pole?
hair hanging.
Oh, bullshit. We saw it at Cirque du Soleil.
And Molly and Lisa Bella went, what studio did you go to where they
So it was Trellis Arts. It was facilitated at Trellis Arts in Toronto, Canada. And it was Nicole Malveff and then two other additional coaches. It was awesome. It was like a 3-day intensive workshop, and it was nerve-wracking and terrifying because it's definitely a yeah, unfortunately, Mandy, you probably would not be a good candidate. Yep. But it was actually much more doable than I thought it would be. I knew going into it that I like have thick hair and I have a lot of it. I was actually worried about the length. Armpit was required and I do have a little bit more, but I also have layers. But that ended up being okay. I didn't fully suspend by day 3, but I'm obsessed with the pulley work where you are like slightly suspended because you have some weight distribution on your side where you're not fully suspending your entire body weight.
I just have so many questions. Like, first of all, how? Like, do you just move your body? Like, your head has to stay completely still?
Yeah, so there's like a ton of conditioning and exercises devoted to the muscles in your neck and your posture and your core. And like, I really appreciated the teaching style because it was like, hey, this isn't like the safest aerial art out there. And here are the ways that you can make it as safe as possible. But like, you have a high likelihood of injury if you're deciding to hang by, especially if you don't do it slowly and work up to it. It was definitely, it felt like a very obvious, like, yeah, if you are stupid about it, but it's just like any other aerial situation. And we've seen plenty of injuries that probably could have been avoided if folks maybe took a step back, which is hard because it's exciting and so much fun.
Yeah. Right. So if you're interested in it, definitely go to a teacher.
Facts. Oh my goodness.
Try
My hair
at
is sticking up.
Well, it's historically been something that's just like not accessible. Like the knot tie is something that's usually like coveted and passed down to practitioners and different performers. And at least what Nicole was saying was that she like sought out her educational opportunities for it. She took Ingrid Espinosa's workshop. I think Ingrid is a big name in hair hanging. But yeah, like it's not, I think again, high risk profile person where I have feelings about home pole in general, but it's not like pole and you should not just try to pick it up at home. Like it's not, you need to be taught.
right? Because once again, it looks so easy and beautiful and graceful.
You think it looks easy?
Well, no, just because it looks like
I
you're
don't
like
know.
floating, but I know that there's so much inner turmoil going on just to like make sure that you don't die.
Facts. Do not be the one at the news because you tried hair hanging. OMG. Okay. Wow. I don't think my hair could ever get that thick anymore. Maybe when I was a teenager. I wonder if it, no, it probably wouldn't work if I added like a weave or something, right? Like, no.
No, no, it needs to be natural hair. Treated hair is even problematic. You have to.
Wow, even treated
So
hair.
all of these days of me just like not brushing my hair, showering maybe twice a week have just paid off. I rolled up and I was like, yeah, Dirty Hippie is gonna excel because I don't do anything. Awesome.
Oh, too funny. I just damaged my hair too much in my 20s. You know, the gay boy thing. You dye it every color of the rainbow. Make a statement.
Oh my God. Did you find any parallels between hair hanging and pole dancing at all, or?
No, I don't think so. When I was doing, there was one day where we were doing one of our sessions in like exploration, and with the pulley, my mind kept on going to like walking around the pole, like it was a rope, but then I was like walking around it, and I was like, no, this isn't, it wasn't translating. So I tried, my body and mind tried.
You have control over your own pulley?
Yes. Yeah. So you are lifting yourself because it's you deciding no, and that's good. That like that's the performances you see in Cirque du Soleil and elsewhere, it's someone else lifting and lowering you. Which is, in my opinion, one of the most terrifying parts and most dangerous parts because it's not like other aerials that get lifted because it's really important for there to be communication and for there to not be any jerky movements, like you're dealing with someone's neck that you're lifting. And so, yes, like, and so that's the style that I actually plan on continuing to pursue is the pulley. And I've seen it, like Nicole did it looked kind of like a live art installation. I don't want to misquote what it was. But like you can use a weight on the other side too to make it a little bit easier on the upper body as well. And again, going back to my style, like it immediately goes into like theatrical perform. I'm like already like, all right, when am I going to do my Mary Poppins hair hanging act where the weight is like her bag and then I have an umbrella and it's a whole thing and it's ridiculous. You know, like that's like it's like first thing my mind goes to. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then the suspension, the pulley is a way to work up to full suspension if that's still something of interest. But
That's gonna be fun to see your journey. I hope you share it.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Let's talk a little bit about the classes you teach and which ones are online for everyone to take.
So I teach at Pole in the Wall on Mondays. Intro 1 online. I didn't teach last week. This is not good. 6:15, but we'll be changing to 6 soon. Nailed it. And then I teach a hot heels class on Monday nights. It's currently at 7:30, soon to be 7:15. That you need to book 3 weeks out.
Right? I was
And
going to say in studio book ASAP.
Yeah.
Available.
and that link so you can book is gonna be in the comments in the section in the notes below. So check out that link.
Yes. Do you have any other workshops or classes or anything upcoming in the world?
Yeah, semi regularly offer workshops at Pole on the Wall for sure. And then I occasionally do workshops at the Movement Collective in Meriden, Connecticut as well. And then kind of randomly all over as well. But I'm doing the Googly Eye workshop again at Movement on March 22nd. And it will be more of a routine choreo that we're learning because there will be a group performance opportunity on April 5th in Woodbridge, Connecticut. I'm producing a show called Pints and Pasties, Foolish Follies, a burlesque buffoonery, and it's for April Fools.
Yes, hence all the calendars in the backyard.
Yes, it's this one.
Too funny. I don't think we asked about your pole nemesis.
Oh, that's fine. We don't need to talk about Teddy.
I love Teddy.
No.
Teddy.
We get along sometimes, but I really think it's like 3% of the time. For whatever reason, it's just never.
I feel like Teddy is one of those ones that it's not the same for everyone. Like everybody's bodies are different and it will not never look the same or be the same way to get into it.
Right, you're right. It's about the hips too, I think. Yeah.
Hips, I mean, I try to grab that hip and open those leg wide, try to squeeze tight, but I still slide.
Right, there is something about the armpit ratio to leg to yeah, there's a lot. But I love it. That's all right. You can keep your Cupid.
Exactly. I'm like, you have Teddy, Cupid's mine, it's fine.
Yes.
Like everybody's different or something. What?
Going to a Teddy from a Cupid.
What? That would be like a cute Valentine's combo though.
That's me.
It would.
I would teach a class like that was themed for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
I haven't taken a class like that actually.
Oh my gosh. I have a off-topic question because we're doing our teacher training program at Pole in the Wall, and Molly, you're going to be teaching our teacher trainees upcoming this Sunday. Do you have any tips for prospective teachers for like any pole students who want to be teachers?
My advice is to just give yourself grace, because I think one of the mistakes that I really made when I was a new instructor was I was really taken aback and shocked as to the skill requirement difference of doing a move versus teaching it. And it is just mind-blowing how they are not the same at all. And so just being willing to go into it, knowing that it is good that you know how to do the things, absolutely, but that's not necessarily going to be a helpful basis for all of the teaching requirements of it all.
Love it.
Agreed. There's only so much you can learn. And I feel like you learn more with that experience. Because they teach you, oh, teach this trick this certain way, but little do they not say that everybody's going to be a different size, everybody's going to be a different level, and that way that they want you to teach might not work for them.
Right?
I love
Like,
that.
I'll never forget, like the first time I taught a figurehead, I couldn't even talk when I was in it. I was like,
it's too funny.
but now I can.
Because you practice.
Yes.
That is too funny.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And also thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge to our students. Actually, both of you, because both of you are teaching our wonderful students at Pole in the Wall to be teachers. So thank you.
Molly's been doing the most stuff.
Well, yours coming soon. Molly, do you have any hand and body grip that you use for pole?
I am a dry hands whore, and that's it. I've like tried dew point and other non-dry grip aids because at least when I was in Colorado, I would use dry hands even if I was like having dry grip issues, and that shocker didn't work out well. But I don't use grip right now because I don't really do a lot of intermediate advanced stuff in this moment. My favorite grip story to tell though is that for a minute there was a craze with the like Target brand Yes 2 whatever. It's like tomato and cucumber and whatever. And there's this spray moisturizer with like 2.2 stars. Because all the comments are like, this shit is so sticky and it's so bad. And then there's all these random 5-star reviews that are like, I'm a pole dancer and this is so great. So I have this bottle of like spray cucumber moisturizer that is like a back of knees, like Hail Mary. And it's probably like 5 years expired, but I refuse to get rid of it. And I'll like only use it in like dire circumstances.
Oh, I love that. I wonder if they still make it.
I don't.
Oh, that's the worst.
Why I still have mine. They obviously don't because it's not a good product, apparently, for mainstream purposes.
That's so hilarious though, but like if you have the product, perhaps we can reverse engineer to make some.
Yes,
They're not
because
making it anymore, and they didn't understand that it was for pole dancers and not for what they made it for.
They really lost an opportunity to get into a different market, but it's okay.
Any chemists out there who are into reverse engineering products that we need as pole dancers, contact Molly because she's got the last one.
The ingredient list is on there too. It won't be a huge mystery.
Smell like cucumber?
Cucumber. Yeah. Yeah. It's like
Hey,
natural.
that's nice too.
Yeah.
Because most of them stink.
Too funny. I can't wait for you to get more into intermediate and advanced stuff because I remember your fireball video that you submitted to our Pole on the Call showcase and you was killing it with holly drops and shit. So I do hope you get to explore more of that.
My plan is to redo that routine for the showcase on March 1st because it's been 10 years this year since I did that routine.
I was gonna say, I feel like I've seen it on the upcoming things. I'm so excited.
Encore.
It was 10 years ago that you did that.
Yeah.
How has
Yikes.
pole changed for you in the 10 years?
I kind of weirdly don't think it has. I think ultimately, and I think the first thing that always comes to my mind is those silly memes that are like, oh, you've been aerial training for 5 years, you must be so good. And then it's them like profusely and I'm like, hmm. Hmm. And then, but it's still, aerials are always so interesting because to the average person, they're still like, wow, you're so amazing. And I'm like, no, I suck. But it is like it like I almost want to say it's just like stable because it's always like, and I think it just fluctuates as far as how much of my life it's been. There's been like I remember when my wife and I were not married yet, but we're living together in Fort Collins, and like one of our first big fights was that like I was gone too many nights a week, and so we needed to like, and it was so sweet. But I was like, I'm just at pole class. What's your problem? And it was reasonable. It was a solid amount of my life. That is when I was doing teaching and taking. And so I was just like, it was genuinely like 4 to 6 nights a week I was going to pole class. Like it was, I was like, fine, I'll be a girlfriend too. But I feel like at least in the past couple of years, it's felt a lot more like really awesome that I get to keep it. Even if it is less. And so it's always there.
Yes. I love it and I appreciate it because you're always so creative with all the classes and you always remember to have fun. And I think I wrote this in the teacher message. It was really refreshing when we had that quick conversation because sometimes we forget that, especially when we try to do it full time. So thank you for that. You always keep it fun. Yes.
F word.
You're too fucking funny. I do hope you can be a student again.
Well, I think hair hanging is really gonna put a cramp in that.
You
So
found a new hobby. Why the hell not?
focus on training. So here we are.
Just
I think the core strength that you're gonna have to work on for the hair thing will eventually parallel to pole because you need that core strength.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that because here we are, we have like armpit, so we have at least there, but like how?
It's like it's like a pencil spin that never ends and you're hanging by your hair. You have to have everything tight and engaged.
Oh my gosh. Right, but just something else for you to integrate into your life and become one with.
Oh, it's fine. I'll make it work.
I'm not gonna lie, I would be heartbroken if I was so excited to try that and they said your hair is not thick enough to hold you up.
We did have to, like, we filled out a questionnaire online before and like sent photos in. So
Wow.
luckily that's not a thing where you like drive to Canada and then get told you can't do it.
I wonder if that's why they kind of, like you mentioned earlier, kind of kept it as a pass down to pass down thing rather than opened it up to the general public.
It is just so individual. Like even a lot of times in lecture, it was a lot of like this or this or this or this, like depending on the person. Like so it makes sense just based off of how it seems like it's challenging to kind of blanket statement a lot of it. Which one you shouldn't, because that's not safe, right? And so they were, again, the instructor successfully doing that, but then that does make for challenging classroom management from a perspective of teaching multiple people at a time.
3 days.
8 hours.
Wow. Like that's like a whole certification, but that was just intro. Wow. Do you have any like I know you said that you purchased some of the stuff to practice at home. Do you have any like plans for the future for anything other than those burlesque fusions that you were saying?
I was gonna say, yeah, it's really probably just gonna be routine based. Like I'll probably do just try to keep up with conditioning because I feel like it is a scalp situation that you need to maintain. But right now I have it on my radar that I hope to be able to perform a Halloween routine. I want to give myself plenty of time to potentially build up to something, but again, that's with the pulley, not full suspension.
Yes, you could do my Pull of Horrors competition.
Yes.
I want to see blood, gore, and horror. Let me stop.
I'll say.
It has a good ring to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be sexy and awesome just to see like, fake blood spewing from a spinning pole or something.
Oh, heck yeah, that would be great.
Is it the same sort of like rigging for aerials, or is there any other special considerations?
Yep.
System. Wow. That'd be amazing. Like there's nothing like that around here. I've never seen it in person.
And there are at least 2 or 3 people I know. I can't remember Connecticut or Massachusetts that do it in the New England area. I blanking on the studio, but they're here.
Well, it's definitely not something I don't think I would try, but it's really beautiful. Yeah.
My, where do you hope to see yourself in 2 or 5 years with pole dance and burlesque?
Oh my God. I don't know. Actually, that's a lie. I want to continue to try to not do a million things at once while knowing that there is this lovely community of very hungry burlesque dancers that want to keep doing shows. And so I think something that I've slowly started to shift towards is empowering others to put shows on so that they can have shows to be in, because that's where I started. That's the reason I did it. And so there's this really interesting concept where it can get territorial and dramatic and weird, and I've experienced both sides of that. But for the most part, I have experienced nothing but immense like support and respect from at least the main producer that I know of in Connecticut, which is Professor M, who does Scandalous Saturdays at Trevi Lounge. He's been amazing and nothing but like an amazing colleague and friend. He has an abundance mindset, which is what he always says, and so was just welcoming with open arms when I got here, and never at any point was like, who the fuck is this new chick trying to put some shows on and steal my stuff? Because I wasn't stealing his stuff. And so it was exciting to finally have that interaction. And so I want to continue to pass that on, of like, I can't book you for every single one of my shows. It's unfortunately not how it works, as much as I want it to, but people don't want 9-hour recitals on Saturdays. So we gotta spread it out. And so if you want to perform more, I love that for you. And I will help in any way I can to facilitate those opportunities. If you even want to, like I've told a couple of my dancers recently, like if you want to do an Ann Pasty show and try to co-produce, let me know, because I am here for it.
Ooh, a franchise.
I love that. It's interesting because you have inspired me, and I've always wanted to get more into burlesque because I love it. I've dabbled only a few times. And I've always thought maybe 5-10 years of boylesque or gaylesque or something like that. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. It is very inspiring. What's your least favorite pole song?
Whole song?
Or I guess since you're in burlesque too, what's your least favorite song and that you're tired of it, that you're tired of hearing?
Oh my God.
Like that's overplayed or
Yeah, I mean, I always go to Feeling Good. And it's more so like I don't actually have a problem with it, but it's something that I would never perform to, because I know what people would say. And I'm like, cool, okay, we just won't do that. And then anything from the Christina Aguilera burlesque movie. Nope.
They had a couple good songs, I think.
I love how like we ask people like what their overplayed songs are, and but like everyone, I'm like, I love that song. I love that song.
Yeah, see, that's not a good, yeah, this is not a good question for me, because I just did a whole workshop to Candy Shop by 50 Cent. So
Song.
I'm not the right person.
Oh my gosh. Right. I think every time I hear that song now, I'll think of the studio
Candy cane.
decorated with the candy canes. Oh, I wanted to ask you too, like, how did you do that? Like, did you climb to the top of the pole with a ribbon and then spin?
It's actually bondage tape. And so it's like it only adheres to itself. And so it was almost like cling wrap, I guess. And so it like clings to the bowl. I looked it up. I looked up how you could do a thing, and then also asked Lisa Bella to confirm. Because she did the candy cane pole with her stage pole at home at least a couple years back, and has done it every year since. And so it was the like temporary aesthetic situation. You can tell in the video that eventually it like rips because people were using it so hard. And I was like, yeah, that's fair.
Did you climb up every single pole and like
Don't feel that's conditioning. She loves that conditioning.
And I also climbed up to the top of the pool to take all those silly photos from down below.
Yay.
You know, I was like, is she on the top of the staircase? Like, what's going on? But no, you climbed the pole. Got it.
And then the phone mount technically will magnet to the blue pit structure.
That's good to
But it's just sus because your phone is just like clinging into it. So I don't necessarily recommend it.
right. And it's like 12 feet up. No. Oh my gosh. Well, that's a lot of work. You put in a lot of heart and soul into everything. And I definitely appreciate it. Like I said, I'll always remember the way that studio looked. It looked really beautiful, like a magical candy cane land.
Winter Wonderland.
Yes. Do you sleep? Let me stop.
You know, right? Like, what the hell?
I actually have idiopathic hypersomnia, so I'm 2 minutes from REM at any point in my life.
Fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. That's fascinating to know.
I'm medicated though, so I'm on stimulants.
Perfect.
I was gonna say you went the whole interview without like passing out on us.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Learned so much about you, Molly.
Yeah, I'm a wealth of interesting things. I actually had a relationship end because I was struggling with my idiopathic hypersomnia and not treating it very well. And it was like before bed. And you know, when people like to start really important conversations right before bed, and it's super helpful in relationships and they last when that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
My partner at the time was just like, yeah, I think you think I'm really boring. And I fell asleep.
I can't. I mean, they just set themselves up for failure with that one. Don't start those conversations while we're laying in bed. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Hey,
But then I met Jordan and
yeah.
married her, so that's okay.
I love it. Oh, that is too funny. I can't. OMG. I'm trying to think. Did we cover everything? And then
Just
some?
have that you haven't asked me what things are coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
What's
what's coming
up,
up?
And on March 8th, there's the Pints and Pasties Femininomenon burlesque show. I'm so excited for this event. So this is the thing I'm going to plug the most for this podcast because I have turned it into a benefit show for the children of Marsha P. Johnson, which is a grassroots collective in New Haven that is dedicated to advocating and providing resources specifically for POC trans women. And it's turning into quite the statement of a show, and I'm pretty excited because it's really my hope is that it gives the performers mainly, but also the audience kind of a cathartic way of expressing how they're feeling right now as women and how we're doing because we're not doing great. But I just shared something on my Instagram actually from Patagonia and her TED Talk where it was that like it's okay to be like doing the hard work and being serious while also being joyful. And so I really like the idea of like, yes, we're having a serious conversation right now in this show, but we're also going to have fun. Like we're also going to be together in the space and have a nice time. And so I think it's going to be a really powerful experience. And I'm pretty stoked. I've got vendors, I've got raffle prizes, I've got a stacked cast. Like it's going to be amazing.
That is exciting. Congrats on that. Good for you. That is beautiful.
Oh,
Especially
so at New England Cider Company in Wallingford, Connecticut.
Yay.
March 8th.
March 8th, and the tickets are still on sale for that.
They're still on sale, yep. In the Ladybird Vixen's Linktree or the And Pasties bio.
which will all be in the comments and notes below, y'all.
And this episode will be out after this event, but
Oh,
we'll be
that checks
taking
out.
clips from this and posting it so that you can have proper advertisement for this
Oh,
amazing
yeah.
show. Thank you for putting this show on.
I know,
Christmas.
especially in a time where we probably need it the most.
And then after that, there's Foolish Follies on 4/5 if you want to see the most absurd burlesque routines to ever exist. And then my birthday on May 17th. If you ever thought, man, I wish there was an entire variety burlesque show devoted to acts related to birds, I got you.
Right, do you want to tell us a bit about why you love birds so much?
That is a I will I will two birds, one stone it. I'm so sorry. And the other question I have in front of me is my muggle job. And I work in wildlife research. I specifically focus on invasive species in the US right now. That's what I do. But I have always known I wanted to work with animals. I got a wildlife biology degree in college. I was pet sitting since second grade. I was volunteering on a farm. Like we were doing all the things. I always wanted to be around animals. We always had weird pets because my parents were great. We had parakeets and geckos and hamsters. And I had a toad that we flew back from Virginia before TSA really went on lockdown. Like it was time. But I don't really know when it started. Like it was a combination of working at a rehabilitation center in Colorado where I was running the bird nursery. And so I was just feeding baby birds for every 4 hours and like running the interns and volunteers, making sure all of these like orphaned baby birds stayed alive and got fed. And then at the same time taking an ornithology class at CSU. And so just like learning identification by sight and sound. And so I just ended up accidentally getting like bombarded with birds. And I just like wasn't mad about it. And so I just kept liking birds.
I love that. OMG.
Now there's this big ass bird poster on my wall of all the birds in the world.
That is incredible. I love it. So you're helping people with dance and then helping animals with your muggle job. What do you
guess
do for fun to help yourself?
so.
Any self-care at all? Any tips for self-care, especially when living such a beautifully busy life?
Have a wife that knows how to cook.
I love
She
that.
knows how to remind you to slow down. She's usually my first gauge on hey, what if we didn't have any plans this weekend? And I'm like, fine. But yeah, like for me, it is like the self-care is like self-care, community care. It is burlesque and it is pole. Those things actually do fill my cup. And so it is not to say that they don't empty it sometimes too, because they do. And we all go through our ebbs and flows of how that works and how that's sustainable. But I absolutely am guilty of trying to be better about my nothing days and like not feeling guilty for having nothing days. And then I usually tend to like call a close friend if I need any urgent support. And usually catching up with someone I haven't talked to in a while makes me feel really good.
I love that. I think that's the first time we've heard that, catching up with someone we haven't talked to in a while.
Right? It made me just think about how I've been not doing that.
So I went through a phase where I was like really hard on myself for not doing that, and I like made it feel like an obligation, and I'm very, very grateful to have friends who I can just like not talk to for months and nothing happens, and then we pick it up like it was yesterday. And so having that reframe of like oh, I have to call so-and-so to see how they're doing. And instead having it be like, oh, like I'm feeling a little off. So I think I'm going to call so-and-so and talk to them and then also get to hear how they're doing. And then that's going to make me feel good.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that because it is a constant reminder. I find as I get older, it's so harder to do that. Like I even forget to call my mom, and that is awful.
I am supposed to call my parents every Sunday, and I don't remember 70% of the time. And my sweet, sweet mother refuses to call me.
Same.
And like
Same.
she'll text and say, it's now an okay time to call. I'm like, just call me, mom. Just call. She's gotten better because I've like aggressively honed it in where I'm just like, you also can call me any day. If there's like another thing you want to talk about on not a Sunday, you're allowed to call me. Because they're just so sweet about it. They're like, you're just so busy, we don't want to bother you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if I'm busy, I won't answer. And you can just leave a message and then I'll call you back. It's almost like that's how phones were invented. Purpose.
I think most of us don't know why phones were invented.
To make us lazier and dumber. I'm joking.
Right now they are.
Uh,
The beginning, we used them for communication.
yes. And then we use it to replace everything. Like you don't even look in an encyclopedia anymore. You just Google it.
Right? But I like that too. Because I have questions all day. I want to know.
I want to know.
Too funny. Is there anything else you would like to share with us? Anything coming in the future? Any tidbits? Anything at all?
Philosophies.
Yes.
I think that's it, but we didn't ask the philosophy question. I'm a checklist kind of gal, so here I am with my checklist. And so I'll absolutely end on my pole philosophy, which is that any body is a pole body. And that vertical fusion and pole in the wall really did both teach me how diverse the pole community can and should be. It's for everyone.
Yeah.
It is. Thank you for sharing that. I love that.
Yes.
And I love how you said your checklist, girl. And then you like kept us on point. You're like, we did not answer this. We did not answer that.
Yeah, I prepared an answer for this question, so I'm gonna say it.
No, hold us accountable. Sometimes
What? Color-coded calendar in the background? Weird that
Oh no, not at all. Hold us accountable. Sometimes we go on to tangents and we just completely forget.
Because I do think maybe the world would end if we didn't cover all of the questions. Yeah. So
How am I?
Like that.
Yeah, I mean, you have a nice following. Maybe one of the people following you want to know, well, I want to know her answer to this.
Love this podcast. Have to stop following because you didn't find out what Molly's least favorite pole move was. So sorry.
Too funny.
We're gonna have to do a follow-up just for that. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Molly, for taking the time to share everything and also for inspiring everyone so much and for being wonderful and for moving closer to the studio.
Facts. Yeah. Here she's putting it out there. Yes. Thank you for being here with us and for everything you do for the students and for always inspiring me. We don't get to interact a lot, but I do follow with what you're doing and hear a lot from the students, and thank you. I can't wait to see what's next for you, and I hope you're able to be a student and try some of that intermediate advanced stuff.
Me too.
Right. And look forward to seeing Molly doing hair hanging at a venue near you. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening to or watching this episode of Pole on the Call podcast. My name is Mændy Mac.
And I am Cris Rivers. Oh my. knee-high socks with my red shoes.
I'm here with Ladybird Vixen.
Yeah, Molly or Ladybird.
I love it, the peacock feathers.
Just end with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so MG, take out a hot glue gun, you have a whole outfit.
It's just the story of my life.
Oh my God, that would be beautiful with the hair hanging.
Oh, I didn't, Mandy, I didn't even think about
Right, like a fan.
Yeah. Shit.